Right, for those of you who have just joined, we're going to give it one more minute to give people time to join, and we're going to kick off. All right, that minute is up. Let's begin. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Whether you're running a busy cafe, a takeaway spot, or a bakery, we know your days are full, so we really appreciate you being here with us today. This webinar is all about helping you get the most out of your Yoco counter. So if you're curious, you're on the fence, or you already have one and you just want to unlock more value, you're in the right place. So before we begin, just a quick bit of housekeeping. All joiners have been muted. So in order to participate, you'll need to switch on your computer audio to hear us today. And if you've got any questions as we go along, please drop them in the Q&A box. You'll see the option to do so in the toolbar at the bottom of your screen. We'll try our best to cover it at the end of the session. Importantly, we are recording, so you'll get the full video, the recap in your inbox, and just in case we don't manage to get to your question today, don't worry. All of the questions that are asked will be covered in your email tomorrow morning. So there's no need to take notes unless you really want to. So to kick things off, I'm going to start off with a quick poll to see what brings you here today. And there you go. The poll should be live on your side. While you get to polling, I want to introduce you to the Yoco team that's joining me today. Hi, I'm Indy. I'm the product marketing manager at Yoco. We also have Dean on the line. He is our senior product manager, as well as Matt, our senior design manager, who's going to be managing the Q&A chat box. In terms of what we get up to today, we've got a full agenda. We're going to start with an overview of the product, share some merchant stories, and then go a little bit deeper with a product demo, from setup to selling with Yoco Counter. We're also going to give you a sneak peek into what's coming up next and wrap up the session by answering your burning questions. So to kick things off, I'm going to share a product sizzle reel from our marketing team.
Introducing Yoco Counter, a powerful point-of-sale system that has everything you need to start selling right out of the box. With sleek, solid hardware and pre-installed point-of-sale software, it's designed for effortless operation. Organize your store with ease, managing products, variants, and discounts all in one place. Offer customers a smooth experience with tipping options, easy payments, and digital receipts. Get live sales reports to track top-selling products and staff performance in real time, and split bills for customer convenience. All your products and sales are automatically synced across all Yoco devices, so you can sell with confidence. Unlock a simple, seamless way to sell with Yoco Counter. Introducing
Technical difficulties. So as you just saw, Yoco Counter is our new, modern, all-in-one point-of-sale and payment system. We built it from scratch to help you sell, serve, and stay in control right from your counter, and straight out of the box as well. We've worked really hard to make sure that setup really is that simple. Speaking of, what is in the box? You get beautifully designed hardware, including a 12-inch HD touchscreen tablet on a weighted stand, the Neo Touch card machine for secure, customer-facing payments, and free built-in Yoco POS software. And if you need printing, you can easily add the Yoco printer for bills, receipts, as well as order slips. Now, tying it all together is the Yoco app, giving you real-time sales, stock, as well as staff reports right at your fingertips. Together, it's one simple, seamless system that's all powered by a single Yoco login. Our free point-of-sale software isn't just about ringing up sales. It has so much value to offer you. And it all starts by organizing what you sell into a smart product catalog. Here, you can set your prices, including VAT, and track your costs. You can customize it by adding product images. You can create brands, as well as setting up customizable variants and attributes. So for example, as a coffee shop owner, that might include things like coffee cup sizes or milk variants so that you can customize your orders. Our selling features built into our POS, like shortcuts, discounts, and saved orders, means that your staff can serve faster without the friction and without the mistakes. Now, speaking of staff, you also get PIN-protected staff profiles with permissions and user roles, so you are always in control of your business, even when you're out and about. And because every sale is logged automatically, your recons will recon themselves, and cash up at the end of the day becomes so much more fast. Now, when it comes to payments, the customer-facing payments are seamless, and with a built-in tipping prompt of up to 20% on your NeoTouch card machine, you will start to see your tips rise without your staff ever needing to ask for one. And as I touched on earlier, behind the scenes, the Yoco app keeps you in the loop with real-time reporting. Now pair that with your item level stock tracking and the automated low stock alerts, you will always know what's selling, what's running low, and who is selling what in your business. But don't just take it from us. The real proof is in how Yoco Counter is helping our merchants today. So, first, I'd like to introduce you to Rassi. He's the owner of Ubuntu Coffee in Johannesburg. He's already grown to 12 stores and more with Yoco on the way. And here's what he has to say about Yoco
As a new
Counter.
business owner, there's a million things you need to think about. And this is one less thing that you have to worry about.
Yeah. So, Raisi, let's chat about this bad boy, the Yoco Counter.
Yeah.
What are your initial thoughts when you first see it?
My initial thing was just how good it looks. Out of the box, fit in seamlessly.
Yeah.
It was really simple to set up. Connected it to the NeoTouch.
Yeah.
I want to say within 2 to 3 minutes we were ready to go.
What features stand out to you personally?
It's easy to use, easy to sign up, intuitive to use on the front end and the back end.
Yes.
And I think it gives you so much detail, so much insights into your business, your selling, the amount of product you need.
Yeah.
It just makes it easy.
Tell us about Ubuntu Coffee. What is it about? What's the story?
Just started with one shop and really just try and make coffee accessible to everyone. Here we are, it's almost 5 years later, 12, 13 shops almost and going strong.
Well, Raisi, very excited for Ubuntu Coffee's future.
Yeah, man, thanks.
Awesome
Get
stuff.
our coffee on the way out.
Thank you so much, eh? Cheers.
Nice. Next, I'd like to introduce you to Ollie, the heart behind Ollie's, a local gem in Sea Point and Coffee Magazine's winner of Best Coffee on the Go from 2024.
The easiest and efficient point of sale that I've used. I can do my stock and the report as well. I don't need to spend like hours and hours reconciling things. It's life-changing. It's beautiful. It was easy to set up.
Nice. So now that you've seen some of the software in detail and you've heard from some of our merchants, let's switch it up. I'd like to hand over to Dean to take you through Yoco Counter with a demo.
The easiest and
Technical difficulties. Apologies.
Thanks, Indy.
I should stop sharing. Dean, over to you.
Thanks, Indy. And how's it, everyone? Happy Thursday. And yeah, we're excited to dive into a demo of the software that powers Counter. I think Indy gave a really nice overview of what the counter looks like and it feels like from a hardware perspective. And she also took you through the printer and the NeoTouch, which really forms the full counter package that we offer. And I'm going to talk us through the software that powers this amazing, beautiful point of sale device. And so we're gonna try cover a fair bit, and we won't be able to cover everything, but we'll hopefully cover anything that I don't get to in the demo in the Q&A section. And like Indy mentioned, we'll send through a full pack of answers to some of the burning questions that we received in the sign-up process to you after the webinar. Great, so let's dive in. Just get my screen sharing on. So we're going to start with the Yoco app. And the Yoco app is essentially the back office app that you as a business owner will use to really act as the control center of your business. We're not going to touch on everything in the Yoco app. We'll be here for too long. What we're going to zoom in today is really the core features and the parts of the app that are required to set up your point of sale system. So this is the Yoco app. It's accessed either through the app, Store that you can download and run on a tablet or your mobile phone, or you can access the web app on your browser if you're using a laptop or a PC. So today we're going to focus very much on the Manage tab. And so really Manage is where most of your magic happens as far as point of sale is concerned. So we'll start with the first key step in your setup journey, which is creating your product catalog. And that's really the center of the point of sale product and the feature that powers the rest of the point of sale product. So we'll go into products, and there are a couple of ways that you can create products. There's a manual product creation process, which I'll step you through today. And there is also a way to create a product catalog in bulk using a CSV import, which we won't touch on, but will also be included in the information pack that is sent to you afterwards. So let's dive into creating your first product. And we'll start with the really simple product. So in this case, I'm a brand new coffee shop owner. I'm really excited to get started and selling. And I want my first product to be a cappuccino. So we'll just start with some basic details. So in this case, we'll create a cappuccino. So enter the product name, enter the price. In this case, it's summer in Cape Town, so we're going to be bumping prices up. So we're going to charge 65 Rand. And if we want to track profits and margins, you can enter the default cost price, which will make 25 Rand. We'll leave out the description for now. And sorry about that. One sec. Then we'll create a product thumbnail. So the thumbnail is important because that's what will show up in the POS app. So it's a thing you'll use to identify the product when you or your staff are selling. There are 3 different options that you can choose from. You can either create a text product thumbnail if you are comfortable identifying products via text. You can create an icon or use an image. So if you have images of your products, you can use those. In this case, I haven't done any fancy professional photography of my product, so I'm just going to use an icon. You can see there's a host of icons to choose from, and I'm going to choose the coffee icon. I'll click done. Then I'm going to assign the product to a category. And so in this case, I've got a category called hot drinks, and we'll see how that works in the selling experience when we get there. Essentially, it's a way for you to easily navigate your different categories of products. So we'll assign it to hot drinks. And the last thing we'll do is we'll track stock. And stock tracking is, of course, a really critical component of Counter and a really valuable feature to enable. So in this case, we'll track stock at a product level. A SKU will be generated automatically. And in this case, we'll just set a stock alert. So when the stock drops below that specific quantity, you'll be notified so that you can replenish and make sure you have enough stock. And we'll click save. That product will now show up automatically on Counter, which we'll get to shortly. But really simple, just a few fields you need to enter to get your first product created. The next product we'll move into is a slightly more complex product, using what we call variants. So variants are essentially different options of products. So if you sell different sizes of a specific product, you will use variants to create those sizes and also assign a price. So we'll get started again. In this case, we'll create a flat white. Again, Cape Town, summer, we'll make it 70 Rand because flat whites are all the craze. We'll leave out the default cost price and thumbnail for now. Then we'll scroll down to variants. So the first thing we'll need to do here is add an attribute. An attribute is essentially the category of variant that you're creating. So in the case of a cappuccino, we'll want to create a size. So we'll create size as an attribute, and then we'll create our 3 options. So in this case, I have a small cappuccino. I've got a medium cappuccino. And I've got a large cappuccino. I'll then click done. and save. So now those options will be created all under the flat white product. If I want to set prices and different prices, which naturally you would want to do for different sizes, you can navigate back into the product, go into variants, and then set the price for each of your variants. In this case, I'll keep my small flat white to 70 Rand. I'll make my medium 80 Rand. And I'll make my large 90 Rand. I'll then click save, and those prices will show up in the selling experience. That's variants. Now I'm excited to demo and give you a small sneak peek into another bit of product customization that we are doing, and this is called modifiers. And so modifiers is currently in development and testing, which we are really excited to get out soon. But I'd like to use this opportunity to give you a quick sneak peek into what that would look like. So if you want to customize your order, so not just different sizes with different prices, but typically there'll be different customizations that you would like to have for your different products. So in this case, I've created milk types as a specific modifier group. And under there, I've got oat milk, cow's milk, and almond milk. It is Cape Town after all. And I've also created an order type and listed takeaway and dine-in as modifiers under that specific group. So this will give you a lot of flexibility in terms of how you prepare your specific goods and also how you're customizing. So really giving you and your staff a lot of flexibility in terms of how you customize a specific product. So let's go ahead and create a product and apply modifiers. So in this case, we know that matcha is also very, very hot right now. So we'll create a matcha latte. Again, Cape Town summer, we'll make it 110 Rand because we know that tourists are flocking in. Great, and we'll go now to modify groups. So here you'll see the modify groups that you created. And I know I want to apply different milk types because people want different types of milk in their matcha latte. And I also need to know if I'm preparing it as a takeaway or dine-in. So I'll add that. I'll then click save. And the product will be saved with the modifiers. So those are 3 examples of different ways that you can set up your products, ranging from a simple to a slightly more complex, and then with customizations using modifiers. There are a few different other settings and configurations. And so as we saw some questions coming in around selling by unit of measurement or quantity. So if you're a laundromat, for example, that charges based on kilograms, there are ways to do that. We just don't have time to dive into those right now, but those again will be shared in the post-webinar material. Great, so now that we've covered basic product creation, I now want to just show you the stock tracking capability, which was also a hot topic in the questions. So in the Manage tab, you'll navigate to Stock. And you'll see that we enabled stock tracking specifically for cappuccino. So any product that you have stock tracking enabled for will show up in this view. You'll remember that we set up an alert label. So we said, notify me if this stock quantity drops below 10. And because I'm a new business and I haven't set up my stock as yet, you'll see that the quantity is listed as 0. So now that I know that I've got 100 cappuccinos in stock, I'll enter into this, and then I'll set a new stock count. So in this case, we've got 100, well, 1,000. Let's leave it at that. We'll keep the stock alert at 10, and we'll hit save. That's really as simple as it is to set up stock tracking. Every time a cappuccino is sold, the quantity will be reduced by the number of cappuccinos sold. And again, when that quantity goes below 10, you'll be notified, so you know to order more things that you need for that cappuccino. The other important thing to note and mention here is that if you are selling using variants, You can also set up stock tracking at a variant level. So if you're a small boutique retailer and you're selling blue shirts, but you have 3 different sizes, and you can set up stock tracking for each of those 3 different sizes using this view. Another important thing to note and mention is that you can also export your stock levels. So if you're needing to do stock tracking at the end or stock take at the end of the month, you can use the export feature to download a CSV. And then when you are doing a stock count and updating and wanting to do it in bulk, you'll use the import feature to import the CSV that you've used to update your stock levels and do your stock take. So this is just a really nice way to do bulk stock management using the CSV upload. Great. So we also saw that there were quite a few questions coming in around inventory management and stock, which are obviously part of the same piece. So as you can see, we've got really easy, really simple to understand stock tracking. We are working on a specific inventory management module, which will really take this to the next level. Looking at things like recipe management, purchase orders, supplier management, etc., etc. So we'll touch on that a little bit later, but this is a big part of the evolution of Counter and the point of sale on our roadmap. Great. So now that we've looked at products and stock, the next thing that you would most likely need to set up, especially if you have staff and you're not a one-man band, would be staff. So we'll navigate to staff, and this is really where you manage all your staff profiles. So if you have 2 baristas, 3 baristas, waiters, etc., and you would like them to access Counter, use Counter, and also track sales for those specific staff members, this is where you'll manage them. The staff creation process is really, really simple. So you simply click new staff member, you enter their name, and let's try test. And then you set a PIN for them for staff switching. So this is the PIN that they will use to access Counter. So it's a really simple PIN, really quick, and makes staff switching really efficient. Great. So that's as simple as it is to set up a staff member. The last and final thing I'll show you in the Yoco app before we move on to the to Counter and the front of house selling experience is something that we've been quite excited for since it's launched, and also seeing these out in the wild on a number of countertops in and around South Africa, and that's the NeoTouch screensaver. So if we go to card machines and we go to the NeoTouch, so the NeoTouch is a card machine you'll have linked with Counter, you'll see that there's an idle screen section. If we open that up, you'll see you are able to upload an image to your NeoTouch. So this can be your logo, this could be promotions that you are running, anything that really tickles your fancy in terms of showing your customer on the card machine. So just a really nice way to personalize your experience, bring your company and business's touch, and will be done here. So you'll see that I've created my logo, I've uploaded it, and this is what it looks like when uploaded. And so I'm sure a lot of you would have started seeing these in and around South Africa, and just a really nice way to personalize your experience. Great. So that's the back office Yoco app experience. We're now going to move on to what the front of house selling experience will look like for you, your staff on Counter. So in this case, we'll navigate to the point of sale app, and you'll see that all of the products that I've created are now showing on the point of sale app. So this happens in real time. So as soon as you create the products on your catalog or make any changes, those updates and changes are made in real time, appear on counter, and are accessible for your staff. So really great in terms of making sure that things are really updated, errors can be corrected, and that things just happen really quickly. So this is the primary selling interface that you will use or your staff will use. So you've got a few different ways that you can kind of navigate this view. You've got the grid view, which you'll see here. So you'll see the products with either icons or images or text that you use to create them. You've got a list view, which lists all your products. So just really personal preference in terms of how you'd like to navigate. And then the different categories. So you'll remember that we assigned cappuccino to hot drinks. And that's just a really nice and easy way to quickly navigate your catalog, especially if you have a relatively big catalog, because you really want to be able to find products, add products to your cart really quickly. Speed is obviously really important here, and these are the things that help you do that. Great. So now that you've got your first few products, you've got your first customer waiting for you at the counter, and now's the time to make some sales. So I'll walk you through the process. So our first customer orders a cappuccino. So we'll change back to the grid view and we'll add a cappuccino. And just like that, it's added to the cart. In this case, it was a simple product, so without any options or modifiers or variants. If I want to add more than one, I will just continue to tap and you'll see that the product will be incremented. If that's all that they've ordered, we'll then go into the charge flow. So we'll hit the charge button, and you'll see that there are a variety of payment methods or options to use. The three that you see at the top are essentially Yoco payment methods. So these are the payment methods you would use most commonly. So things like card, payment link if they don't have their card on them, or even vouchers if you have enabled vouchers. If you're accepting cash as a business or you have other payment methods outside of Yoco that you use, you can also use the record payments methods below to record those payments so that all sales, regardless of whether they are through the card machine or other Yoco methods, can be recorded from here. So all of your data and insights sit in one place. In this case, we'll just record a cash payment. They've given us 520 on the dot. We'll click pay, and the payment will be recorded. So really nice and easy and really quick. So that's as simple as it gets from a simple product and selling perspective. Now we'll see what it looks like when you've customized your products or configured them in a slightly more advanced way. So we'll start with our flat white. And you'll remember that we had 3 different sizes, small, medium, large. So, and with different prices. So in this case, they've ordered a medium. And we'll see that the medium was, we selected the price as 80 Rand. We'll click add to order. Exact same process. The only difference is that when there are options or modifiers, those will need to be selected before you can finalize the order. The same applies to a product with modifiers. So in this case, remember we set up the matcha latte. So we chose 2 modifier groups. In this case, we will prepare this with oat milk, and it's a takeaway. Once we've done that, we'll click add to order, and you'll see that the modifier notes that we've selected show up there so that the kitchen or the barista or the person that's preparing this order knows exactly how to prepare it. And that's really what the selling experience looks like when adding products from simple through to slightly more complex with variants and modifiers. If we want to continue to add to this order, so for in the instance of sit-down restaurants or where you are running tabs or bills for customers, you can use the saved order feature to save this order and then come back to it at a later stage. So we've got the save button in the order screen, which we'll hit. We'll give this a name. So in this case, we'll call it table 1, and we'll hit save order. That order will then be saved, and you can come back to it at a later stage to add to it or to charge for it when they're ready to pay. So to do that, you simply click on the saved orders button. You'll see that the save order will show up here. Click on it, and it will populate in my cart. You can then add more items to that, or you can proceed to the charge flow. So it's a really nice tool to cater for a number of different use cases, depending on what your needs are. Great. That's really the basic order placement and charge flow. And the next thing I want to take you through is also a really important feature, particularly for those of you who are dealing with long queues. You're having to manage a long queue of drinks and orders, and make sure that you're preparing the right ones in the right orders. And that's order printing. So in order to set up a printer, so provided you've bought one, or bought a Yoco printer, it's really, really quick and easy to set up. So we'll navigate to more. We'll go to printer, and we'll follow the flow. So there's a couple of prompts just to make sure that you've set it up correctly. We'll be surprised how many of us don't actually make sure the printer is on. Let me make sure that it is on, and it is. We'll make sure that it's loaded with paper and that the paper is loaded in the correct way. And then we'll choose our connection type. So in this case, my printer is situated right next to my counter. So I'm going to choose Bluetooth. I'm just going to wait for the printer to show up. I'm going to select it. And then I'm going to pair the printer. Let's just give it a second. Great. Now I'm going to give the printer a name. So I'm just going to say it's my counter printer. And I'm going to select the types of slips I want to print there. So you'll see that there are 2 groups of slips that you can choose to print. Because I've only got one printer and I want to print everything from it, I'm going to select both bills and receipts. And I'm also going to click order slips. I'm then going to click save. I'm going to do a test print. And voila, a test print has printed. So you'll also note on the screen that this is where you kind of configure your printers. We also got some questions around if we are going to be looking at adding the ability to add more than one printer. So we understand that you often have more than one prep location. So you'll be preparing coffees at one station, and you'll be preparing food at another in the kitchen. And the answer to that is yes, we are. And that's that add printer button in the top right-hand corner. That is also currently in development and testing and will be rolled out shortly. So also really excited about rolling that out. And that will just allow for more granular order routing and printing, and making sure that you can prepare the right items at the right prep locations. So keep your eyes peeled for that release. So now, seeing this in action, we'll kick off another order. So we'll again start with a cappuccino. The order slip will print on 2 primary actions. It will either print when we click charge. So in this case, let's hit charge. We'll give it a second. And an order slip will print with the specific item to be prepared, which will then be handed to the barista or whoever else is preparing the order. It will also print when we click save. So in this case, I'll just finish up this order, record another cash payment, and I'll move on to the next one. So this time I'll add another cappuccino, and this is a sit down. I'll hit save. And the order slip will print. So this will again be handed to the barista to prepare the coffee. And when the customer is ready to pay, we'll open up the saved order and take the payment. So again, a really nice, simple way to get set up for order printing, and really easy to use. All the variants and modifiers and things we spoke through previously will print on those order slips. So again, everything needed to prepare that order in the way that your customer wants it will be on that slip. And that's really the order printing and ordering flow that's relevant. There are a few other things we won't necessarily touch on, but those are really the key components. From a reporting perspective, you'll see that the sales history view will list most of the transactions. Reports is also a great way to see a rolled up view of all of your payments. So this is particularly useful for managers and people who need to see the performance of the day or specific period at a glance. And you can see that through payments. So in this case, we had 2 cash payments that we just did. We can see how our staff are performing. So in this case, I am the only staff performing. And we can also see how our products are doing. So in this case, we see that we've sold cappuccinos, which is great, and at a brand and category level. So again, really just a way to get an overall view of your performance. This is also accessed, or a more comprehensive report is accessed in the Yoco app in the back office. So this is really more meant just for really quick views and where you need to understand how things are going in the moment. Great, and then the final thing I will take you through on Counter and this view is staff switching. So we'll tap on the lock icon at the top of the screen, and you'll see that the staff that I have created will display in this view. In this case, I got a new staff, Jay-Z, who's just joined the team, hot off the press, really superstar, rock star barista. And I want them to start also using Counter for us to start tracking the sales that they make. So I'll just click on the name. I'll enter the PIN, and they'll be logged in. So all their sales and transactions will now be recorded against the staff profile, so we can track performance. You'll also note that the reports tab is now no longer viewable. So the reports tab does often contain sensitive data or data you wouldn't necessarily want accessible by all of your staff. So that is a permission that is enabled by default for the administrator, but not for any other profiles. And those are things that you can configure in the Yoco app under the staff. If you do want them to have access to certain things, you can enable that. So really a nice granular set of permissions that are available. And that's really the crux of Counter, both from a back office perspective and from a front of house selling perspective. So you can see we've really aimed to make this super simple to understand, enjoyable to use, fast to use, and yeah, excited to talk a little bit later on what some of the things on the roadmap are. But before I get there, there's one final thing that I'd like to show. Also a bit of a sneak peek that's exclusive to this webinar. So let's just navigate back to the Yoco app, back to the Manage tab, and you'll see this tile called Locations down below. So Locations is also an exciting new feature that we are busy working on and also close to releasing. So Locations is really something that's catered for your growing business. So you're no longer just operating out of your out of one location. You now have multiples, so you're growing, you're expanding, and you really now need to start tracking how these different locations are doing. So Locations allow you to set up these locations So you'll see in this case, I've set up 3 different locations. I've fast forwarded 10 years into the future, and I've expanded Dean's Bar into a few different areas. And now I want to start tracking sales at them and also tracking stock separately at them, which is the other key component. So the setup process is really, really easy. You just click add location. In this case, let's call it Nornerton. We like to track stock separately, and we'll hit save. Now, on your different, whether you're using Counter or if you're using Kuma or Kuma Print card machines at these locations, you'll need to go onto that specific counter. So in this case, I'm moving this particular instance to the new branch in Milnerton. I'll navigate to More, select location, and I'll change it to Milnerton and say set location. Then you'll see Milnerton now shows up in the top bar next to my business name. And now any transactions that are done, any sales that I make, will be listed as having been done at Milnerton. It will also deplete from the Milnerton stock. So again, just a really nice way to flex your business and to make sure that you can track things at a granular level. Great, and that brings us to the end of the demo. I'm sure there's a lot we weren't able to cover, but hoping we can cover some of it in the Q&A and also through the material that we'll send after this webinar. Great, Indy, over to you.
Thanks, Dean. I'm going to start sharing again. All right. Okay. One last section before we get into the Q&A. Dean, we've spent a lot of time going in with a sneak peek of what's coming up on the roadmap. Is there anything else that we need to add?
Cool. So yeah, more than a sneak peek, it was quite a big peek.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I mentioned the multiple printers and the order routing. I mentioned modifiers and gave you a peek into what that's going to look like. The thing I didn't mention and I'm not showing today is barcode scanning. So we know that is a very frequently requested feature, and something I'm also excited to officially say that we are busy working really hard on, and we'll be launching relatively soon. So keep your eyes peeled for that. I also talked you through the multi-location support, and also mentioned inventory management, which we are also really excited about. Again, we know that it's a really big part of running your business is being on top of all the different parts, what inventory you need, and yeah, we're really hoping to bring some real value in a simple, easy to understand way as far as inventory management is concerned. So yeah, so watch the space, and excited to do more of these where we'll be talking about even more features in the near future.
Nice, thanks, Dean. Okay, that brings us up to the Q&A section. Matt, over to
Cool.
you.
Thanks, Indy. Yeah, I've just been looking at a few of the questions, and there's some kind of themes and categories coming across. So I'm going to try and ask one or two from each of the kind of themes we've identified, just to give us some breadth. And yeah, so I'll just pick a few from each and try and cover questions that haven't already been answered in the demo. So I'm going to start with the first question, which is really around the hardware. So it is, can I load the Yoco POS app on my own tablet?
Great. So yeah, great question. Yes, you can. And the POS app is available for download both on the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. So if you have existing tablet that you would like to use, you can use that. Our hardware is mostly compatible. with independent hardware. We do of course recommend for Yoco Counter and having the printer and the NeoTouch is really the full set, and from a professionalism and look and feel perspective, I guess our biased opinion is that that's what makes counters look really great. But yeah, for the time being, you can use your own tablet and simply download the POS app onto it.
Cool, thanks, Dean. Yeah, so another one just from the hardware side, and I think this is quite a common question. Someone who already has a Yoco card machine, can they use it with our point of sale?
Cool. So yeah, it depends which card machine you're referring to. So essentially, like you see in the image actually on the screen now, the NeoTouch is the specific card machine you would pair with Counter. So that's specifically paired with our point of sale product. As far as our other card machines are concerned, so the Kumo and the Kumo Print, those cannot be paired with Counter specifically for payments, so like the NeoTouch. However, you can use your Kumo and Kumo Print to sell on, kind of, if you are doing offsite sales or using it to sell on the weekend at markets, etc. So the same product catalog that you load on the Yoco app will display on all of those devices. So yeah, if you're needing to sell from different locations or sell on the go, you can do so using the Kumo Print. If you're wanting to link a card machine to Counter for the purposes of taking payments at the counter, the NeoTouch is the specific card machine you will use for that.
Cool, thanks. I'm going to ask one more from the hardware kind of category. This is also quite a common question. Can I attach my own cash drawer printer or barcode scanner?
Cool. Yeah, also a question we get asked quite a bit. So at the moment, we only support the Yoco printer as far as printers are concerned. So you'd have to buy the Yoco printer if you'd like to do printing. Cash drawer we don't currently support. That is also one of the pieces on the hardware roadmap that we will be looking at. We do, however, take like I demoed, allowed you to take cash payments that you can record. However, that integration with the cash drawer isn't currently there. And then with barcode scanning, we'll also be launching a Yoco barcode scanner, which you'll be able to link to Counter. Other barcode scanners may be supported, but it will be recommended to use the Yoco barcode scanner.
Cool, thanks, Dean. Moving on to another hot category, pricing. I think there's a couple of questions we can cover here. First of all, how much does it cost?
Cool. So the current kind of launch pricing for the Counter bundle, which consists of the NeoTouch and the Counter, is $4,999. So that, like I said, includes the Counter and the NeoTouch. And the only additional fee, aside from your transaction fees, of course, is the 49 Rand per month connection fee that you pay for the NeoTouch specifically. So both Counter and the NeoTouch come with built-in SIM cards. And the only fee that you will pay when you buy that bundle, though, is the 49 Rand for the NeoTouch. So yeah, there's also a host of different payment options, one of which is the pay flex buy now pay later option, which allows you to split the payment over a few installments. So if you are wanting to just lighten the load from a cash flow perspective, that's a great option for you.
Cool, thanks. I think that partly covered the next question I was going to ask, which is about buying Counter on monthly installments. But maybe just to clarify, is it just Counter that you can buy through PayFlex, or does it include some of the other add-ons like the printer?
Yeah, so it includes some of the others. So it will be on your total cart order. So if you want to add a printer to that, and any other devices, you'll be able to utilize that payment method.
Great. Very important question. How do I get Yoco Counter?
Cool. So yeah, also a great question. And I think this is one of the magical things about Counter when compared to other point of sale systems. You can simply go onto the Yoco website, add Counter to your cart, checkout, and it will be delivered to you within 3 business days. So I think that's really, really powerful, really, really magical. Unlike other point of sale systems and other competitors where there's hefty installations and hefty wait times, this you can simply order like you would any other item that you would do for online shopping. So yeah, really simple and really easy to order directly on the Yoco website.
Yeah, and just to add, delivery is completely free nationwide, and aside from just buying Counter, signing up on yoco.com takes as little as 5 minutes. So it really is the easiest online shopping experience for point of sale and payments.
Cool. Thanks,
Nice.
Indy, for the extra info. I'm going to move on to something you've already touched on a little bit, Dean, in the demo. So kind of there's you spoke quite a bit about stock and inventory, so I'm probably not going to cover those specific questions. There were a few more specific ones around reporting. First one there, can I track sales by item, month, or year?
Cool. Yes, you can. So the reporting functionalities is pretty comprehensive. So provided you've actually set up your products and you are selling using your product catalog, you'll be able to track which products you're selling when. So over those time periods, which ones are your high performers, your low performers, and view that over any specific kind of date range. So I think really the power of setting up your product catalog and using it is that you're able to get these insights. So instead of deciphering random amounts that you're entering and using other systems to try and stitch together this information, if you set up your product catalog and you sell using your product catalog, then you'll be able to get this insights and data, which is really where the power lies.
Great, thanks. Another one kind of related to sales, sales data and transaction history. Is my transaction history backed up?
Cool. Yes, it is. Yeah, so everything that is done on the Counter transaction wise is all backed up to the cloud, stored securely. So you really don't have to worry about losing any data. That data is always accessible from the Yoco app, and also from various other devices like the POS app, etc. So yeah, any kind of fear of losing transaction history is you don't have to worry about that.
Great. One more question from this section, and then we'll move on to the next. Does Yoco provide its users with financial statements?
Cool. So yes, you can export kind of detailed sales reports from the Yoco app. Businesses sometimes have different needs based on what they need to see from these financial statements. So if the reporting doesn't give you what you need, you can always reach out to us, and we'll be able to assist with it. Anything else you need in terms of different formats, etc. So most of the use cases in terms of financial statements should be covered. But again, if they aren't, you can reach out to support. Another great thing to, I think, add under this is that the accounting integrations, which are now launching with Xero, Sage, QuickBooks, etc., will also mean that your data syncs between Yoco and these accounting platforms, which will also hopefully reduce the need to have to export statements, export sales histories, and just one less thing for you have to worry about in terms of manual input. So also watch this space in terms of that, because I think that's going to alleviate a lot of stress and manual overhead.
You've actually touched on my next question for the next category, which is around software integrations. You've already mentioned that we're launching integration with Xero and Sage and QuickBooks are coming soon, so I'm not going to touch on that again. Then we have another one, cool, which is around I guess kind of payroll functionality. So do you have HR features like sick day tracking, PAYE, SARS reporting?
Cool. Yeah, so no, currently we don't do any sort of kind of HR or payroll functionality. Yeah, we've steered away from that for the time being. Yeah, but just particularly because it's quite a different product to what we do and focus on. So yeah, so that's unfortunately something that you would need to handle through another specific kind of payroll or HR system provider.
Okay, cool. Cool. I think we've covered quite a lot of ground. There's one or two kind of industry specific questions, and yeah, maybe just want to ask one or two from that section, and then I think we'll probably wrap it up. So the first one: can Yoco Counter work in a sit-down restaurant?
Great. So yeah, the I guess short answer is yes, it can, but it also depends on the complexity of a sit-down restaurant. I think if you're a small sit-down restaurant, relatively simple in terms of number of prep locations, then Counter may suit you. So things like staff tracking and staff switching, which we spoke about, would work really nice for you. Things like saved orders would also work well for you in terms of managing bills and managing tables. And then if you also want to use the Kumo for tableside orders and payments, that can also work for you. I think we're obviously working towards extending some of the capability. And it really depends on what your needs are and how complex your setup is. If they are, yeah, we obviously do have our kind of other point of sale system, Table by Yoco, which is really geared towards more sit down, slightly more complex setups. So I think you can definitely compare the two. And see which one would suit your needs, and it's really based on kind of what your needs are right now. But I think, yeah, either if Counter is a little bit too simple for you, then Table will definitely meet your needs.
Okay, thanks. Okay, I think last question, and then we can wrap it up. Is Yoco Counter a good POS for a spaza? Slightly different use case there, but
yeah, interesting. So I think I would say once the barcode scanning capability is out, so a spaza shop would typically sell a lot of kind of pre-barcoded items. So I think once we've launched barcode scanning, I think it would be a good fit. Again, also depends on your inventory tracking needs. But if what you saw during the stock tracking demo kind of would satisfy that, then I would say yes. Again, you would need to see what it has and what it doesn't have. But I think with the introduction of barcode scanning, it should cover most spaza shop use cases.
Yeah, and just something you mentioned before, which I think is important, is that you can also take card payments, but you can also record cash sales, which really gives you that kind of holistic view of your business, all your sales kind of recorded in one place. Yeah, and that's quite important.
100%.
Cool, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Dean. To close out the session, I just want to say thank you for everyone for joining us this afternoon. We would like to give you an exclusive 10% off voucher code to shop Yoco Counter at yoco.com. But hurry, the voucher is only valid until the 1st of September. We will also send you this code to your inbox tomorrow, so don't worry. But otherwise, wishing you a wonderful evening and happy selling with Yoco. Bye.
Bye.
Yes.